In the frozen wild, a man lay dying alone, far from home, and no one believed he could live another hour. Yet history claims he did the impossible, and the truth behind it may shock you. People say the wind sounded like long, hungry ghosts, watching him breathe, waiting to take him, but they had to wait a very long time, and you will soon learn why. His body was broken, his skin torn open, his bones screaming with pain, and the ground drank his blood like rain, but something deeper refused to die. Some stories feel too wild to be real, yet this one happened on real land, with real people, under real skies, and the world still talks about it today. Before this tale ends, you will learn what he saw that night, what betrayal nearly killed him, and how he found the strength to crawl across a continent. Many believe they know his story, but they usually know only the ending, not the long, painful, hidden middle, and that is where the real shock lives. Let me show you exactly how this happened, because the journey of Hugh Glass still feels impossible, even 200 years later, and you will understand soon. The year was 1823, and America looked different, wide and wild, filled with thick forests, tall mountains, and fast rivers, untouched by roads, fences, or easy escape. Most people feared this land because nature ruled every mile, and danger waited behind trees and shadows like a silent friend no one wanted. Hugh Glass was not famous then, just another fur trapper, walking with a small group of men, hoping to earn money, food, and maybe a tiny slice of safety. He reportedly grew up near the ocean, learned to sail ships, and later lived with native tribes, learning their skills, their patience, and their respect for the land. Some people said he once survived pirates. Others said he escaped slavery, but sources disagree, and the truth hides under sand and smoke, almost forgotten. What we do know is simple and shocking. Hugh Glass had survived danger before, and that experience would become his greatest weapon. The world around him felt both beautiful and cruel, because every tree held life, but every shadow held teeth, claws, or something worse, waiting to taste fear. Glass and his team walked west, carrying heavy packs, simple tools, and the strong belief that nature could be controlled if they stayed smart. But nature does not care about belief, pride, or plans, and on one silent morning, nature attacked faster than any gun could fire. Glass moved ahead of the group, scouting the trail, breathing cold air, listening for small sounds because silence in the wild often means something big is hiding. He saw berries crushed, branches bent, and heavy tracks pushing deep into the dirt, and he understood the message seconds too late. A mother grizzly bear exploded from the brush like thunder, roaring with a voice that filled the valley, defending her cubs, and nothing could stop her. Imagine standing in front of a train made of fur, muscle, and teeth, moving fast enough to break trees, and you have only your hands and hope left. Glass tried to shoot, but the bear hit first, slamming him into the ground, breaking ribs, cutting deep into his back, and ripping open his skin like wet paper. He reportedly fought anyway, stabbing and kicking, screaming through blood, until other men arrived and fired bullets, finally ending the massive threat. The bear died, but Glass was nearly dead too, lying in red soil, gasping, barely awake, seeing clouds swirl into strange shapes, almost like doorways. The team examined his body and believed he would not live another day, because his wounds were too deep, too wide, and too many to count. His breath rattled, his bones stuck out, his skin hung open, and flies gathered fast, knowing food when they saw it, and nature did not wait politely. The leader of the group faced a hard choice, because moving with an injured man meant death for everyone, and winter storms were closing in. So they dug a shallow grave, wrapped Glass in a blanket, and left 2 men behind to watch him die, promising to bury him with respect. But waiting for death is boring, cold, and slow, and after a few days, those men grew scared, tired, and hungry, and they abandoned him alive. They took his guns, his knife, and his supplies because they believed he would die anyway, and they wanted to survive themselves, not become frozen bones. Glass woke alone, unable to stand, barely able to breathe, realizing he had been left like trash, and the betrayal burned hotter than any fever. He could not walk, he could not run, he could not even lift his own weight, yet he chose one clear thought. He would not die here. Some stories say he whispered the names of the men who left him, promising he would find them, and his words echoed like a vow carved in stone. Glass crawled, inch by inch, dragging broken ribs across dirt, pushing through grass, mud, and thorns, moving slower than a wounded turtle in a storm. Every movement felt like fire on skin, but staying still meant death, and he did not travel toward safety. He traveled toward revenge like a dark star. He ate whatever he found: berries, insects, roots, sometimes raw animal scraps left by wolves, because the body will do anything when the mind refuses to quit. Sources suggest that native tribes discovered him, cleaned his wounds, fed him, and gave him hope, proving that kindness can be stronger than any weapon. Weeks passed, and Glass finally stood again, thin as bone, eyes sharp as knives, holding a new purpose heavier than any mountain. He walked across rivers, forests, and plains, traveling over 200 miles, guided by memory, rage, and the silent promise he carried like a heartbeat. Most people never walk that far in comfort, yet he did it half dead alone, armed with only willpower, while storms and predators circled like hungry spirits. Eventually, he reached the fort where the men who left him had gone, and everyone froze when they saw him standing alive in the doorway. They thought he was a ghost, a warning, or something punished and sent back, because no one survives nature and betrayal at the same time. Glass demanded justice, but reports say the army blocked revenge, reminding him that killing would only create more death, repeating the same cycle forever. Instead of shooting, Glass looked into the eyes of one man and silently forgave him, or at least stopped the violence, though his heart likely never forgot. That choice shocked everyone, because surviving is one thing, but choosing peace after such pain takes a different kind of strength, rarer than diamonds. So what kept him alive, crawling across the land for weeks, bleeding, starving, freezing, and suffering, yet refusing to stop? Some say it was revenge, others say hope, others say pure instinct, because humans have survived worse when the story demanded a final chapter. Modern doctors reportedly believe he should have died from infection alone, showing how survival sometimes ignores science and follows something older. Today, we drive roads where he crawled, cross rivers he bled beside, and take safety for granted, forgetting that the world once belonged only to teeth and claws. Hugh Glass reminds us that survival is not always loud, heroic, or pretty. Sometimes it is slow, painful, lonely, and done 1 inch at a time. This story matters now because the world feels heavy, uncertain, and cold. But humans can endure more than they believe, even without tools, comfort, or praise. When life feels impossible, remember the man who crawled across a continent, carrying nothing but breath, belief, and the stubborn refusal to disappear. Plot twist: the bear never meant to be a villain. She was just a mother protecting her young, proving that nature is not evil, only honest. Glass did not conquer the wild. He simply respected it, listened to it, and learned that survival requires humility, not control. Some historians argue pieces of his story were exaggerated, because people love big legends, but the core facts remain solid and recorded. Whether every detail is perfect or not, the lesson stays powerful because survival stories teach us more about ourselves than any roaring animal ever could. Glass died years later, not from bears or betrayal, but from old age, showing that even the wild could not stop him forever. His story became books, movies, and songs, yet many versions missed the quiet truth that he survived because he refused to give up on himself. So what does this mean for us today in a world with easier dangers, softer beds, and louder worries? It means strength is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers, keep moving, even when the body begs to stop and your path looks endless. It means revenge can push you forward, but mercy can set you free, and both are powerful, depending on which road you choose. It means humans have always carried fire inside, long before matches, rockets, or screams, and that fire wakes up when life turns dark. Before we wrap up, here is one final twist you need to know, and it may change how you see his journey forever. Glass never wrote his own story, never bragged, never claimed greatness, and everything we know came from others who watched in disbelief. That means his survival was not meant to inspire crowds. It was simply life, lived by a man who wanted one more sunrise. So the legend survived because people needed proof that humans can endure anything, even when all odds point to silence and endings. If this opened your eyes, imagine how many other forgotten survivors walked this world, leaving no story behind yet still beating the impossible. Remember the dirt, the cold, the crawling, the breath, the choice, because every one of us may face moments that require the same quiet courage. This story stays alive because it belongs to all of us, not just Hugh Glass, but anyone who ever felt broken and kept moving anyway. So now take a breath, lift your head, and remember the wild is still out there, and so is your strength. Epic survival in history. Against all odds shows that humans are not weak. We are unfinished storms waiting for the right moment to rise. Thank you for watching this journey through pain, betrayal, and unbreakable will. And now it is your turn to carry the lesson forward. If this story moved you, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to believe survival is possible. Tell us in the comments, what would keep you alive in the wild, hope, or revenge, and why? And if you want more true stories of courage, mystery, and history, watch the next video, because the past still has secrets waiting for you. End screen.